Hey guys, wanted to tell you real quick about our podcast host and sponsor, Anchor.fm. If you're thinking about starting your own podcast, I highly recommend Anchor. It's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. They'll distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go out to Anchor.fm to get started. That's Anchor.fm. Now back to the show. The Cannabis Heals Me Podcast, episode 124.
You're listening to the Cannabis Heals Me podcast, where we explore the real stories of real people who have discovered the profound healing properties of the cannabis plant in their own lives. Find more at cannabishealsme.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Cannabis Heals Me podcast. This is your host, Rachel Kennerly, and we are recording once again at the Storybook Inn Studios. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have another great guest lined up for you. We are going to be joined a little later on by Mama Sue Taylor. But before I introduce my guest, I want to go ahead and encourage you to subscribe to the podcast. And while you're out there subscribing, you can always give us a rating or review. We will accept any rating. Well, no, I'm going to rephrase that. We will accept only 5-star ratings and positive reviews. If you want to give us a terrible rating or a terrible review, please do not go out to Apple Podcast or your other favorite podcast app in order to do that. I also invite you to tell 3 people about the podcast. If you have a favorite episode, maybe you could share that with 3 people that you know and love, or maybe just some random stranger at the grocery store, if you're allowed to go to the grocery store in the town where you live. We're just trying to get more word out about the healing power of cannabis, and we need your help to do that. So if you'll share the podcast with 3 people this week, then we can help move toward a common goal of letting cannabis be accepted as medicine, and then maybe even letting people accept the fact that government shouldn't be in charge of telling people what they can and can't put in their bodies. My guest today is Sue Taylor, and she's not exactly the picture one has in mind when you think of a dispensary owner and someone who advocates for plant medicine. She is a 72-year-old African-American, former Catholic school principal, and she recently founded a new dispensary called the Pharmacy Berkeley to provide seniors with information and access to cannabis. And she began her journey as a cannabis activist thinking that she was going to do an intervention with her son. And what she discovered when she got there is that, yes, cannabis truly is medicine. And now she's out preaching the good word about cannabis. So I'm delighted to have her join us today. Sue, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here and be a part of this, because cannabis does heal.
Yes, it does. Well, we're very glad to have you join us. And I wanted you to tell the listeners maybe a little bit about your background as to how you found cannabis as medicine, because it's not the default for most people. Most people kind of believe the narrative that we've all just been fed for decades. So how did you come to learn that cannabis was medicine?
Well, it wasn't by choice. My journey has been really surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've often said that if someone had told me 12 years ago I would be an advocate and the trusted face of medical cannabis, I would say, oh, you must be smoking too much. Because my background, I'll give you a little bit about my background, because it really tells a story. I'm a former Catholic school principal. I'm a commissioner on aging for the county. I'm certified by the state of California to teach the medical cannabis program to nurses, directors of care facilities, and give them continuing education units that's needed for their yearly certification if they take my cannabis class on what cannabis does and does not do. Just basic information about cannabis. I'm a mother of 3 sons and a grandmother of 4. And cannabis was not a part of my experience in growing up. All my friends did it on a regular basis. They kind of hid it from me. because I was like goody two shoes Sue,
Uh-huh.
and I know. So thank God I'm not that anymore. But how I got into cannabis, see, I never would have chose it. And know this, Rachel, it chose me.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, I'll tell you how it chose me, because I never would have gone through it. And the universe used my son,
Wow.
because I have three wonderful sons, and I'm a good mom.
Mm-hmm.
And my eldest son, all of them went to Catholic school,
Mm-hmm.
and did well, and all of that kind of stuff. And he called me one day. I was in Atlanta doing two things. I'm also an ordained metaphysical minister and an
Wow, you wear
author.
a lot of hats.
I wear a lot of hats. And so I was in Atlanta getting my ministerial degree, as well as writing my parenting handbook. After I retired from being a Catholic school principal, I wrote a book about it. And so I was there doing that when I get a call from my son saying, Mom, I know how you could get that metaphysical healing center that you've always wanted. You know, that yoga stuff, that meditation stuff you're always talking about, that Reiki stuff, and meditation. I said, oh, really? He said, yeah, you could have that facility. I said, oh, okay. I said, how? He said, it will be funded by a cannabis dispensary. I said, a cannabis dispensary? I said, you talking about that marijuana stuff? He said, yes, Ma. He said, it's a healing medicine. I've been going to school. I said, you've been going to school to learn about that? He said, yes, Ma, it's a healing medicine. He said, and we could make a lot of money. It could fund all of those programs. People could come there for free to get that kind of knowledge and healing. And we'll tell them about the cannabis. So I said, you learn all this? I said, where'd you go? I thought he was in some cult or something, right? He said,
Yeah.
I've been going to Amsterdam, taking classes, and I've been learning about it, because he was a businessman. He's always, he's a tax franchise business, high-end car dealership. So he was always business minded. His major is business when he went to college. So it wasn't fitting. It just wasn't fitting. I said, okay, son. I said, send me the information that they sent you. So I said, okay. So I hung up the phone. And I said, okay, God, I sent this boy to Catholic school all his life. I sent him to college, and now he want to tell me he want to sell weed.
Yeah. Were
I
you thinking
said,
about throwing out your book on parenting?
all of that. I said, all of that. I said, where did I go wrong as a parent, as a mother? I said, their dad and I, that's why we sent them to college, so they can have some choices in life. And so bottom line is, I packed up my bags, and he sent me the information. I read it, but like in one of your articles, I read that the articles didn't do it for me. The what was written about how cannabis heals, that didn't do it. I said, okay, well, yeah, because I've written master theses, and I can make them read the way I want them to. I could show data proving whatever.
Yeah.
So I was skeptical, what he sent me. Yeah, I'm from the DARE program. You remember the DARE
Yep.
program
Yes,
in
ma'am.
schools?
I was thoroughly indoctrinated by it.
Yeah. So I'm on the other end of the stick. I said, oh no, good Lord, I lost him to drugs. And so I packed up 2 suitcases. That was it. I was coming for 2 weeks to save him.
Rescue him from his from how far he's fallen.
How far off he's fallen. Because I saw it like crack cocaine or something, or heroin. It was, I was a dignified woman, raised him. We were upper middle class, respected by the community.
Mm-hmm.
And here he brings this to us. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go save him. I haven't lost him yet, and I'm not gonna lose him now.
Yeah.
I came home, which is back to California,
Mm-hmm.
and I literally didn't go back to my home in Atlanta for 10 years. Actually, a year before last, I went.
Oh,
I had
wow.
not. I left it furnished. Thank God I had a niece back there. They went and they did what they needed to do, and I hadn't been back because I got so I became such a believer in the plant. I saw all the healing. I began working how I started out. I started working for Harborside for Stephen D'Angelo as doing, he said, Sue, I need you to do my senior outreach program. He didn't give me any clues how to do it. He said, seniors need our help. And I said, okay, I'm a take charge person. He didn't tell me how to do it. He just said, seniors need our help. So I I developed a program. I developed a program and I started going where seniors go. I started going where the administrators of senior facilities go. Uh, and my job, I said, okay, I'm gonna show them because Harborside was the just and the ultimate luxury. It was the Nordstroms of cannabis clubs. Think back 12 years ago, just think back. And so I could bring these people to a place that was well lit, had plants, had professional staff. It was ran professionally. Uh, so I would go and say, hello, my name is Sue Taylor, and I work with seniors in medical cannabis. And I would like to give you a tour of a reputable cannabis dispensary. Sign up at the break. They give you 2 minutes to give you a spiel. And that's how I got people to come. And this is what happened in that process. As people came over the months, over the years, see, I was still half scared of cannabis. I was still afraid of it. That stigma, I never told a soul what I did. Nobody in my regular life. And if I was somebody, I said, don't tell them I work with cannabis. Don't tell them. You know, afraid to be judged. Here I'm also African American, so I got a double whammy.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Of being judged. So, what changed my mind when I began to see wasn't from the research, like you said, wasn't from all the things that we've read. It was the people coming back telling me the stories of how they had been healed or how their parents had been healed from me taking them to Harborside, introducing them to the array of medicines that was available to them and their families, and the healing that I saw. Time after time, there was a dentist that he had cancer, and he was like me, afraid of he was afraid of the cannabis. He was a dentist, he was a doctor.
Yeah, he's got a lot to
he could lost
lose.
his yeah. And so he said, and see, that's another thing. That's another thing, Rachel. Most people I find, they won't go to cannabis unless they're almost dead. They're dying, and they won't try it because of the stigma. But if they're desperate, they say, okay, well, everything else, and that's sad, and that's part of my job. I help to eliminate that stigma with it. But he said to me, he said, I felt like that too, Sue, but he said, when I got the cancer, he said, I tried it. I had to because I wanted to live. And he said, what happened to me? He said, my hope, he says, once, and he smoked it. He said, once I started smoking it, he said, my perception on life changed. I said, how so? He said, I began to focus on what was happening good in my life rather than focusing on the cannabis. And see, this is one thing I know about life. What you focus on expands. And we have a choice in it. We have a choice, even with anxiety. We'll talk about that a little later. Even with anxiety, you have a choice. You could either follow those thoughts that bring you one place or follow those thoughts that bring you another place. So when he started using the cannabis, he said, I started focusing on my grandchildren. He said, I started going to their games. I started getting enthusiastic about that. I started getting enthusiastic about life. And he said, and so he said the cancer went into remission. It became almost a non-issue for me.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah. And so, stories of that nature came, and people coming to me, Miss Sue, I don't need my walker anymore. And then
Wow.
another patient would, because we call them patient back, they would come in and they would say, I haven't seen my mom, but we saw her wheelchair. So we know she must be walking because she left her wheelchair from using the
Wow.
cannabis.
Wow.
And so, it's stories like that. It's stories like that. And then I have one story. I haven't mentioned him so much because I had to keep it quiet for so long because he was so afraid. His wife, he was my financial advisor, worked for one of the big investment groups, right?
Yeah.
Well, I pulled all my money out of his group because I told him I was going to start a cannabis dispensary years ago. And so he said, oh, okay. So I took my money out. I didn't hear from him for about 8 years or so. He contacted me. He said, Sue, he said, my wife has a brain tumor.
Oh my goodness.
He said, I need your help. He says, I've tried everything else. He said, I would like to try cannabis and I trust you and you're the only person I know that's in it. And the short of the story is I helped him. I didn't have a cannabis club. I told him to go to Harborside because I trusted Harborside. And I worked with him individually without a penny, without a dime. I figured this man is going through enough. And so if I could help him, I wanted to give it. I just wanted to give, bring healing. And over time, it took a while. He says, I can't voice it. I said, the only thing I asked you to do is to tell your doctor that you're using the cannabis. And he said, okay. I said, you just tell him, just do what you do. But I'm gonna give us some of this cannabis. Rick Simpson is what I suggested for him. And so when we opened up Pharmacy Berkeley, our dispensary, after 12 years, when we opened it up in February, he and his wife came. His wife said, you saved my life.
That's incredible.
It was the first time I'd met her.
Yeah.
I knew him.
Yeah.
He said, and she just held on to me. She said, you saved my life.
That's
you
incredible.
saved my life.
Yeah.
She says, my kids are grateful to you. So it's things like that. It's things like that I said, I will continue. And trust me, I've had some times where I've been so embarrassed. I've been so doggone scared. I remember I was in Santa Clara County, where everybody is basically white and rich. And I went to the Commission on Aging there to talk to them about cannabis as a medicine. But that was my goal. But anybody could go to those meetings, but I just went as a guest. And so how it began, I wasn't invited there. I just showed up and they go around the room and everybody in the room had to introduce themselves, right? And so when they started going around the room, I said, oh, shoot. I said, now I got to stand up in front of all these white people telling them, I said, they're going to say, there's that black woman come from Oakland selling drugs. that was all this was playing in my head, right?
Yeah.
I said, oh God. And I said, why did I let these kids get me into this? I said, they always get me into something. I was pissed. I said, I just should pack up my bag and go home. And so people kept going around the room introducing themselves. And then Rachel, my other mind came in and said, well, Sue, you said you were going to make the world a better place because you lived. You know that cannabis heals. You said you would not go to the other side, when you would not pass on from this life, doing what you can, if you knew you could do something to help. I had to talk to myself, remind myself of the commitment I had made to life and about living. And when it came to my turn, I stood up. I said, hello, my name is Sue Taylor. I work with seniors in medical cannabis. And I went on. But I can't tell you how many times I felt that squirmy of being judged. And I've even had a man to yell at me. He said, you're supposed to be an ordained minister and you're up here peddling drugs. You know, it's just like when somebody would call me a nigger, you know, when he yelled that at me that day. And I was invited there, you know, I was speaker. And they got on him later, but he was just an old, elderly white gentleman that he just didn't know. You see, and that's what it is. People just have to be educated. You just tell them what the plant does and does not do, you know, and you beware of the plant, like you beware of any kind of new medication that you're taking. And with cannabis, there's so many variables. You know, your weight, your height, your how much food you have in your system, your usage. You know, if you're a regular user, if you're a new user, you know which ways to ingest. It's a lot of dynamics that goes on with the cannabis. So I teach about that. I educate about that. I figured it's education, 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 and I do not try to convince anybody of anything. I just give them the knowledge that I have about the cannabis. And if I don't have that knowledge, I'll find a person that might could help somebody who knows it, because this is what drives me. I really do believe that if this world is going to be saved and get back to where we want it to be, it's going to take the wisdom of elders and the energy and the knowledge of young people. Intergenerational. It has to be intergenerational. The young people and the elders working together, because you guys have so much to give to us. And we have all that wisdom and calmness and knowledge to share. So it's us working together. But see, most seniors are in pain. We have to get them off pain. That's why cannabis plays this role. Cannabis can heal almost every ailment that most seniors have, most anybody. You see, so that's why that's your job, that's my job. I'm sitting here with Betsy. It's all of our job in the cannabis industry, you see, to help to eliminate that stigma, to bring that knowledge to those people who are seeking it or who want the knowledge.
Right. I guess I find it ironic because living in Texas, of course, there's going to be stigma around this, but cannabis, medical cannabis, has been legal in California since the 90s. It's crazy to fathom that there's still a stigma surrounding the plant, even in a state as progressive as California when it comes to cannabis.
It is, especially amongst the elders.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, we woke up with the reefer madness.
Yeah.
We were taught that in high school. It's a big stigma. You know, she does drugs. You know, I remember who was it? Let's say one of my nephews said, oh, and Sue's selling drugs. And Sue's selling drugs. I said, no, Aunt Sue not selling drugs. No, Aunt Sue don't sell drugs. You know, I got offended. You know, Aunt Sue don't sell drugs. You know, and so now it's much more accepted. And you know what's changing a lot of the elders' mind now? It's because the pharmaceutical approach to managing symptoms, they go to the doctors for usually 2 ailments, and those 2 pills that they have to take has the side effects graduated to like 15 or more. And see, and what's key, and I'll tell them, I said, if the current medications that you're on, if you're happy with that and you're finding relief, and you're doing well, keep doing what you're doing. But if you're tired of adding one more pill, one more pill, one more pill, and you still can't get out of bed, look into medical cannabis. Do the research for yourself. Talk to somebody. And a lot of people I've worked with, professional people, I'm in the professional world. I work with professional people. When they find out that I work with cannabis, then they say, you know, I use cannabis. I said, oh, you do? Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about city councilmen. I mean, all kinds of, you know, prominent people. And I said, well, I didn't know that. They said, well, it's the stigma. Some of them say, my family don't even know. That's sad. I conducted a group, like just a talk group, conversations with Sue, and people would come and tell me, my family don't know I use the cannabis. I said, you're kidding. I said, but it saved your life. Well, don't they care? They say, yeah, but the stigma is worse. Me being judged is worse. I lose my credibility. So yes, with the and especially the hardest group are the minorities, African Americans and Hispanics, because we're the hardest hit. One of the reasons why I'm known as the trusted face of medical cannabis, because it was my son Jamal who got me in it. He kind of took a back seat to it because he's African American male. He said, Mom, they would incarcerate me if they figure out I was doing the cannabis club, you know, and we had to do it legal. That's why it took us so long. We had to have everything done. We had to be approved by the city. You know, they had to give us their blessings. We wanted a legal permit. Everybody said, why don't you just throw open? We throw open all the time. Jamal said, yeah, but you white, you're not black. You know, they just take your weed, slap your hand, and take your money, and you go open up in the next city. He said, people like me, you know, they're incarcerated for 30 years to this day for having a 5-pound bag of weed.
Right. Yeah, people are
You
still
know,
serving life sentences over cannabis. It's like, you got to be
yes,
kidding me.
yeah, you know, so it's come a long way, but in certain groups and also with elders, because uh, of what was instilled in our heads about it. You know, it's low class. It's demeaning. It's you know, like you're a drug person. You do drugs. You know, it's you know, we spend a lot of time say and I relate to it because I was one of those people. You know, I spent a lot of time, you know, I'm well educated. I spent a lot of time getting the respect. I spent a lot of time being a reputable member of my community and all of that. And so, you know, I thought about it, but you know what I make an analogy of it is, Rachel, is this. I have a gay son, right? He told us he was gay uh, when he was in college. And I kind of suspected, but didn't want to look at that. But he finally told us. So first he told his brothers, his two brothers. I have twin sons and an elder son, Jamal. He's the one who got me in it. And so he said to me, he told his twin brothers. So they're the one who called me and said, Mom, Kwame called and told me he was gay. I said, you're kidding. He said, no. I said, oh my gosh. I said, when? He said, well, we were all at a family gathering in Atlanta, and they went off, and they took him to a strip club of all places. Of course, he wasn't interested in a strip club, you know. I know, isn't that crazy? And so he said they were in the strip club crying, snot coming down the nose, tears coming down. When he told them, he said, and they were sitting in a circle, and the girls was all naked over there or whatever they do. And so I know. So he said, I think they might have asked him to leave. But anyway, so I
Bringing
said,
down
okay.
everybody's buzz, I guess.
Yeah. And there's some good looking men, you know. I'm sure the girls was trying to get at him. But anyway, so he said, that's what he told us, Mom. And we took it hard. So I said, okay. So I said, My first thought was, I wonder why he didn't tell me. And so I called him. I was back home. They were all back home. He was back home. I said, Kwame, I said, why? I said, I heard you told your brothers you were gay. He said, yes, Mom. I said, why didn't you tell me? He said, Mom, I wasn't worried about you. I knew you would love me regardless, but I wasn't so sure about them. And so when I got that information, I said, okay, now here's a child, he's gay. We've been told, now remember, goody two shoes Sue here, doing things by the books, following the rules. I don't break rules, pay bills on time, don't get traffic tickets, none of that stuff. All that stuff they say, you better not do, you better not do. And everybody's doing it, and here I am. So, okay, I said, okay. I said, they say gay people are from the devil. I said, this child came from me. He came straight from God. Whatever you call God, he's nothing but good. He's that love. I said, and then I talked with his other two brothers who say, okay. So he said he's gay. He said, I don't know much about it, but I know we want him in our life. So we're gonna do whatever it takes. We're gonna understand whatever we need to understand. To not lose him, because we could have lost him to the gay community. He's also a firefighter, and the firefighters, those people have strict bonds with family and ties. They have communities, and so I didn't want to lose him. And so all of that. The short of the story is, I says, okay, I've been lied to about gay people. What else have I been lied to about? If I didn't have that experience to start to question how I was seeing things, I never would have been open to cannabis. That was the beginning of me questioning and becoming open of the possibilities of what my perception was on life and how I perceive people and what I've been told. I was lied to about the cannabis. Cannabis has been a healing medicine, either for spirituality or healing, since before Christ. I looked it up, since before Christ. And so I was lied to about gay people, not from the devil. You know, they were born just like me. You know, they love, they have feelings just like me. Just like me. They are people too, you know, and me being an African American, you know, we were judged. I was judged, you know, called horrible names. I can remember my mom and I going into a store and they said, you need to come through the back. Or, I mean, you need to get up and let this lady sit down, you know, things like that. And so I began just to look at it all. But it was the cannabis, that the healing that I saw, and the camaraderie with the people who work in the industry. Those people, they're unique people, most of them. Now, a lot of people come into it for the money now. They just want it for the money. But for the people who are genuinely committed and see the value of it and do not want to make some better choices about their well-being, about their spirituality, about who they are and who they came here to be as a person, you see, there's more to it. You know, it's empowering the person. It's you empower, you are empowered. You were born that way. But you have to tap into that energy force. Some people call it God, I call it source energy, or just well-being of the person. Total well-being. It's not, it's spiritual, emotional, it's also nutritional. All of those things, physical, emotional. That's why I meditate every day, twice a day, to keep me communing with my higher self, with that higher energy. And cannabis plays a part of that. It's a mother healing plant, you know, and uh, depending on what kinds you use, like the artists use it and people that are depressed, the sativa has helped them, bring them out of depression, seeing who they really. I'm sure I didn't ask the dentist at that time if he was using sativa, but I bet it was, because it sparked his creativity in the way he saw things, and it's just I'm just a better person. I'm just a better person for working in this industry, because I'm happy with Sue. I'm happy with the work that I'm doing. I'm happy for all the healing that I've witnessed uh, from many people. There was this woman. Here's another story. So a woman, she worked in a cannabis club in San Jose, and she came on one of my tours that I had, and showing a reputable cannabis dispensary. And one day she called me. She said, "Sue, I'd like for you to pray for my mom." So I said, "Oh," I said, "What's going on with your mom?" She said they found a cancerous tumor in her lung. She said about the size of a lemon. I said, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." Now this was a while back. And so I said, "Oh," I said, "Okay." I said, "I'm so sorry. I will." So I saw this woman about 6 months later, 3 or 6 months later, and I said, "How's your mom?" She said, "Oh, um, that cancer tumor shrunk." I said, "It did?" I said, "How so?" She said, "Well, when I took my mom to the doctors, it was Kaiser. I took her to the doctors. I said, you do whatever it is you do, but I'm gonna give my mom 2 of these CB tablets. I don't know if she said twice a day, but I'm gonna give her 2 of these CB tablets. I just want you to know that I'm gonna do this." So I said, "Oh." So she said that did it. And I was still a skeptic back then too. So this is what I said to her. I said, "How do you know it's what you did? How do you know it wasn't what they did?" Because see, they still were doing their regimen. You know what she said to me? Because her doctors called me. "What were those tablets you gave your mother?"
Oh, wow. Wow,
"What
that's
were those
incredible.
tablets you gave your mother?" And so she told them. And she said those doctors told her, "Well, we're gonna we're gonna recommend some other patients to come there, but we're not putting that in writing or anywhere legal, because we don't want to
Yeah,
lose
because they
our
could still
license."
lose their licenses over that.
Yes, yes. They would just make a suggestion. I've heard that this can sometimes help, they would tell the person, and if you would like to try cannabis. And that's that's how it happened now. And I have to say that I'm not saying that cannabis cures cancer. I don't want to be misquoted, and I'm not a doctor. I have no medical experience whatsoever. But I do know, with the endocannabinoid system, we have endocannabinoids that heals our body from within. We were born with it. Cannabis have endocannabinoids, and when you take them, it can shrink many of those cancer cells. And that's what happened to the lady. Um, those they got smaller and smaller and smaller, too. And they probably did the chemo and all that other kind of stuff. But that's what I hear, and it's all through people sharing their stories. You know, they tell you. And I see them walking around. They say, "Oh, I thought they had cancer." Yeah, but no, it's in remission. I'm going about my business. It's like that.
Now,
It's like
when
that.
you showed up at Jamal's house with your 2 bags to convince him to get out of the drug business, how did that go down? I got to know how that went down.
Well, I didn't tell him that's what I was coming to do. I didn't tell him I was coming to save him. He didn't know that part. Hey, that's mother. Hey, that was mother's as mama coming in there, right? I said, okay, son. I want to see, what you're into and about this, So I said, I brought my bag. So he said, okay. So he started taking me around. He brought me to Harborside, and I went in and I was impressed. I said, this is a cannabis dispensary? I said, it looks like a medical facility. He said, yeah, Ma, yeah. He said, these are professional people. And I saw all the products. They gave me, they talked to me about the product. And see, and I walked up as a patient, right? And I said, because this was medical cannabis. And the guy asked me, he said to me, what kind of flower do you want? I said, flower. I said, what you want me to do with it? And he said, he said, well, what's your ailment? So I do have ailment. I have bulging disc 4 and 5 in my back, and that's what I told him. He said, well, what ways do you ingest? I said, I've never ingest. I said, I don't know. And so then my son Jamal came. He said, no. He said maybe topical. And back then it was like Dot Green's lotion. It was the only one that they kind of really had on the market. But I didn't. It was foreign to me, but I was educated. I was educated, and the more, then he would show us tapes of cannabis videos back then. That he would show me videos, and I got to see videos of how things grew, how people would cook with it, make butter and stuff of that nature, and uh, and then over time I began, but I was still afraid of it, And he said, "Mom, you can't be scared of it, Mom. You know, um, he said you can't be opening up a cannabis dispensary and scared of weed." I said, I know, but I'm gonna get better with it. But it took time. It took time to get rid of all those old beliefs. Uh, and he knew he didn't pressure me, and and I got relief from the topicals. I
Yeah, I
tried.
was curious if you actually were
I
brave enough to try it.
I did. I did. I tried the tinctures. Not smoking. I tried the tinctures and all the creams. I don't know if I tried a lot of edibles that got me in trouble. Uh, because I'm a sweet eater, right? And even seniors to this day, I don't recommend them do too many edibles because I've had bad experience with edibles. They had some gingerbread cookies, and I'm from the South, and we always had gingerbread, fresh gingerbread, and they had some gingerbread cookies. And I ate one. I said, "Ooh, this tastes good." And I ate about 3. Well, you know what happened?
Oh yeah.
I said, "Oh my gosh," because I forgot. I forgot it had cannabis in it. But one thing that when I do use the cannabis, the tinctures or whatever it is, uh, if it's overboard or even an edible, um, if it's overboard, this is what I know. I run through my mind. It's mind over matter, uh, or matter over mind, whichever it is. I said, okay, uh, cannabis has never killed anybody. Has never, ever killed anybody. So I said, okay, I'm not going to die. This is just a feeling. I'm probably what these kids call high right now. I'm probably what they call high. And I say, so that's all that is. And that's all I have to do is wait it out. So I would do that. Even now, if I remember when I have Mama Sue wellness for sleep. Uh, uh, I have 3 products and three tinctures, and it's for sleep, the sleep wellness one, and the 2 relief. One is regular strength, and the other one is extra strength. And the Mama Sue sleep. I tried too much of it, and it made me race. So I had to talk, because see, my system is very sensitive. I can't do what most people. I can't never do the recommended dose ever. I always have to cut it in fourths or half or whatever. And but I had to talk to myself that way when I did the over until I figured out the dosage that I needed for my body. And I had to go through that, and now I experienced during the pandemic some heavy anxiety. I mean, I've never experienced anything like that before in my life, like not sleeping for 3 days and things of
Oh
that
my
nature.
goodness.
And because I was kind of all over the place, none of the cannabis worked for me at first. None of it. It just made me race even more. So I had to let it all go. I had to let it all go. And so my son said, the son that's the firefighter, he said, "Ma, you're gonna have to do something," because I was taxiing on all of them. They were worried about me, right? I was showing up at all of them's house because I was afraid to stay home by myself. I was already alone. They said, "Don't come," because I live alone, and the pandemic makes you feel isolated and all that kind of stuff. And so uh, my medical doctor called me, and then they tried to put me on these these pills, right? And something inside of me said, my spirit won't. I said, but I got to try something. So she said, okay, you take this. She gave me two kinds. I looked at it. I took it for one day. I took one of them for one day. I was a basket case. I said, no more. I read, well, you know what it was for? People with schizophrenia. That
Oh
was
my goodness.
schizophrenic.
Oh my
I said,
goodness.
I said, I'm not schizophrenic.
Just anxious.
And I'm not depressed. She said, I give it to all my patients, and it works for them. I said, okay. So I said, all right. So I didn't. I couldn't. So uh, the Mama Sue pain relief not only deals with pain, but also deals with anxiety. I started taking 2 drops of that in the morning, two, and then 2 mid afternoon, and then 2 at night. That's all. Most people can do a dropper or or much more, but that's all I could tolerate, and it's helped me. It's helped me, and also went to therapy. I did. I went. I found a holistic therapist. One that don't try to push pills on you, because see, you got to get through life. It's about you and your creator. You got to get through life like that, knowing that you're guided, knowing that the universe works for your highest good at all times, regardless of appearances. That's one of my core beliefs, and everything always works out. It always works out for me. So I had to remember those, uh, remember my core beliefs. That deep spirituality that has kept me going for these 73 years. And depending on that, and say, I'm chilling out today. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not doing anything. You know, and say, just go with the flow of the day. Go sit by the water. Go sit in nature and meditate. And you know what I think about this pandemic stuff? It's just a way, it was an opportunity. This is the opportunity. Okay, I believe contrast will always happen. Okay, bad things happen. They just you're gonna have some challenges in your life. Okay, my core belief is universe works for my highest good at all times, regardless of appearances, right? So where in the hell is the good in this pandemic? The number one good thing in it is that is bringing people back to who they are. You have to spend some alone time with you. I had to spend alone time with me. And that was challenging. It brought me back in the day. The hardest work I've ever done was personal development work. This is almost like personal development time.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out where I'm going from here and what I want to do differently and add more joy and fun and relaxation and self-care time
Mm-hmm.
for me and enjoying the people I want to be enjoyed with.
Mm-hmm.
Just honoring who I am. You honor who you are,
Mm-hmm.
and operating from that, from your core beliefs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it does. Have you found during the pandemic, were y'all able to be open, or were you considered an essential business, or what it?
Well, at first they said we're essential business. Then they changed their minds about it. The city of Berkeley did. So we're just open for curbside now. Because what happened, we're going to open up now to having, I think it's 5 or 6 people come in the store at a time. But right now, to date, it's just curbside because you remember when they had the protests and all the rioting went on with George Floyd? Well, it wasn't the protesters. Opportunities came, Rachel. They robbed us. Was it 3 or 4 times? Four
Oh my
times,
goodness.
twice in one night. They tore up our beautiful place.
Oh my
Our
goodness.
dispensary, Pharmacy Berkeley, our dispensary was like a Nordstrom's in like a depressed community, a community that needed uplifting, and we wanted that. We wanted that. We wanted people uh, not to be shamed walking in, not to, wanted them to feel we had orchids everywhere, beautifully expensive displays where the cannabis was displayed. I have a community center where I educated, where people will feel good and honored to walk into the place, right? And the opportunists, not the protesters, these people who saw they could just snatch and grab, um, uh, they tore up our beautiful place, broke windows. And see, we really didn't have the gates and the bars because we didn't want it to look like a jail. We really, but now we don't have the bars, but we do have the gates. So at night we could protect it.
That's
Um,
good.
and so uh, we yes, we're open. It's curbside. People can't get in. I haven't been able to do my classes the way I want. Um, but overall, we're doing well. I always look at what's going right. We're doing well. We're open. We're a new business, so we're not where making all the money that you know all the other established clubs are making,
Sure.
but we're moving right along. We're moving right along,
That's good.
and I'm thankful for that. You know, I'm thankful for that, and um, so yeah, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
It's been quite a journey.
From a Catholic school principal to now a dispensary owner. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, everybody want to know who is this woman. Who is this woman? Catholic school president, and then also me being a metaphysical minister. You know, um, because I did a story. It was in the Wall Street Journal about the clergy in the cannabis industry,
Oh,
and I and
cool.
I and I was one of those people.
That's great. I'll have to put a link to that in today's show notes. I'll go if you can send it to me, or I can probably Google it and find it, but
Yeah,
I'll make sure I
because
put that in the show notes.
I don't know where it is. I mean, I don't know
it's
how to.
it's
That's why I
probably
keep
behind
these
a
young.
paywall.
Look, that's why I keep these young people around.
There you
They know how
go.
to go find that stuff. I don't know
There
where
you
that stuff
go.
is. You know.
Where can people find the dispensary? I guess physically you have a physical location, but
Yes.
you've got curbside, so I guess maybe they can order online as well.
Yes, they can order online. Not out of state, but they can order online. Pharmacy Berkeley is on Alcatraz and Sacramento Street in Berkeley. They're open 7 days. We're open 7 days a week, and we have quality medicines. And it's the only place in Berkeley where you can get the Mama Sue products that works.
Okay.
And then the other places you could get them is in Southern California at the Pottery in Los Angeles, and Bud and Bloom in Orange County, and our sister store, Pharmacy Santa Barbara. That's where you can find all the Mama Sue products. But all of those are under the Glass House Group, and we all pride ourselves on quality medicines. We grow our own medicine, sun grown, just high quality. We believe in quality,
Right.
And even the other brands that are carried in all four of those stores, is top of the line.
Great.
We believe in top of the line products.
Yeah.
Things that work, things that's high quality. Start from where you get the plant.
Mm-hmm.
How you grow the plant.
That's right.
Because that's what'll tell you the kind of product you'll have. And so I'm proud to have partnered with this group because I've always wanted my own line, because I know with seniors, most elders go to cannabis for sleep and pain. Those are the two number one things. And
now seniors are one of the seniors. That's one of the growing demographics with medical cannabis, right?
Yes, it is. And in the 2018 census, it came out that in 10 years we'll be the largest demographic for the first time in the history of the country.
Oh wow, that's incredible!
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, that's great news.
So you know what that means? You see, we'll be the largest demographic. With that, and I tell all the cannabis entrepreneurs who want to get into the business, I said, develop something for elders. We're going to be the largest population, and we have more ailments because it comes with age, So, develop something, and start with from where you are. What is it you do? See, I educated teachers and students. First I was teacher, then became administrator. So I said, I'm an educator. So I just transferred that skill.
Yes.
I'm gonna educate seniors. I educate administrators. I educate school officials. I educate the city council. All of that.
Yeah, that's an incredible skill that is definitely needed in this field.
Yeah, and so even lawyers do cannabis law, some form, specialize. There are many ways. And see what most in my philosophy is, I'm just guided to do. You don't have to go and invent it. Get within. That's how you know if it's true for you or not. Go within, sit quiet, don't be in a hurry. It'll come to you. You don't have to go looking for the path. The path will find you.
That's right. Yeah, it sounds like it came right to your door.
It did. But you have to have the awareness to recognize it when it comes. And I did.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And I always love when people have just made this complete 180 when it comes to cannabis, because I was in a similar position to you and felt the same way about it as you did. So it's always nice to kind of meet people that have been on the same journey as me and have had the open-mindedness to change about this plant, and then to become an outspoken advocate for it is pretty awesome. I'm thrilled about it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think you're right. I just figured it was a gift from my creator, because I never would have chose it. It chose me. And I see why, because I'm passionate about it. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. It's a deepwood call, and I know that's what I came on this earth to do. I didn't know that then, but all the things, being the teacher and the principal, was a precursor.
Absolutely.
To lead me to this.
That's right.
Lead me to this.
Yeah, you're perfectly designed to do what you're doing.
Yeah, and you know how I know, and you know how people in the audience would know, is how you feel inside when you're doing the work. That's how you know if it's right for you. It's how you feel inside when you're doing the work.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. You see, it's that's why when people ask me, what made you persevere for so long? What made you stick to it? I said, well, I didn't want to do anything else. So I had to stick with it. I wanted to stick with it. I didn't see it as a long time. This is what I said. I said, oh, it's going to happen. And they said, when you going to open? Oh, we giving up on you guys. Da, da, da. No, it's all in divine timing.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what the universe was doing with me and with us? Was getting us ready. You see, I didn't have the knowledge. I was too damn scared. It took those years for me to come up to speed with it, for me to learn about it, for me to have that knowing in my heart, for me to help to eliminate the stigmas in my mind. I had to witness those people healing, people that I trusted, people that I worked with, people that I had a part in their healing. You see, like the lady with the brain tumor, to come up and just hug me and say, "You saved my life." You see, it's stories like that that make me keep going.
Well, I'm sure there's going to be many more to come doing the work that you're doing with the demographic you're doing. I'm just thrilled that you're going out there and preaching the good news to people who have believed that this is the devil's lettuce for way too many years. And now they're finding healing and relief for their pain in it. So it's pretty awesome work you're doing.
Thank you. And you too.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for getting the word out and reaching so many, because you never know who you're going to touch. You never know.
That's true.
So you keep it up. You keep it up because that's why you came. That's why you came onto this earth, is to help with the healing of the planet.
Now, if we can just get it legalized here in Texas, that's the next hurdle for us.
It will. Well, when Biden and Kamala come in, that's the first thing they're gonna do is legalize
good to me.
Yeah. So you know who I'm voting for.
Yeah, one of the things that I like about cannabis is that it unites people from across a broad spectrum of politics. They can put politics aside, which is very rare in our society today, that people will put politics aside and work towards plant medicine. And so that to me is one of my favorite things about cannabis is I can work alongside Republicans, Democrats, independents, libertarians, and we all come together for a common cause. And I think that's one of my favorite things about this plant, is that it brings people together and focus them on a single goal.
You're absolutely right.
Sue, thank you so much for your time today. And thank you for the work that you're doing with seniors and everybody else that wants to come to you for healing. And I'll put links to the Pharmacy Berkeley out on the show notes page and that Wall Street Journal article and anything else that I can find to put for you out there.
Oh, I would appreciate that. Yeah, and tell them to how did they tell me what to say, right? And sometimes I forget. To like me on my Instagram page.
Perfect.
Or to do something with the Instagram. How did I go? Follow. I got this young girl right here.
All right. Well, we'll get all the social media put out there as well for you.
Would you
ma'am.
Please?
Absolutely. Yeah, no problem.
To go that. And thank you so much. And please stay in touch.
Yes. Sounds great. If I ever make it out to California, I'll holler at you.
I would appreciate that.
All right. Thanks so much, Sue.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
I will. You do the same.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Show notes for today's episode can be found out at cannabishealsme.com/124. Thank you once again to Sue for joining us. If you live in the area, maybe you'll go check out the dispensary and support her fledgling business. I mentioned a few weeks ago that I was thinking about starting a new podcast. Well, I've actually done that. So if you want to follow me over there, you can go out to justaddliberty.com or search up Just Add Liberty on your favorite podcast app. What we're doing over there is examining ways that we can eke out a little more freedom in our lives in an environment that is really not very freedom friendly and a government that is certainly not freedom friendly. So go check out justaddliberty.com. We will be back here on Monday with yet another healing episode. Until then, you guys have a great week, and thank you once again for tuning in to listen. Hit the subscribe button and you'll never miss an episode of the Cannabis Heals Me podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please consider leaving us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or whatever podcast app you're using. Do you have a suggestion for a guest on Cannabis Heals Me? Send an email to podcast@cannabishealsme.com. We'd love to hear from you. Please do not take any information from Cannabis Heals Me or its guests as medical advice. Contact your licensed physician before taking cannabis or using it for medical treatments.